all this great stuff I was going to say about you, Mary Lou.
Oh, go ahead, say it.
It's over 12 minutes.
Anybody that got the bulletin on June 12th, it's all right here. There we are. But we do know that she's a graduate of Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
And in honor of that,
Don't boast that, Shane.
what's that?
Don't boast.
No, I would boast about Ohio State. And just to show you, I had fun find a couple weeks ago. Indeed, there we were. So we went to the game. All right, so just a couple of personal things, Mary Lou. First, she was the first woman president of our club. And she succeeded me, and as I mentioned, when she was leaving, it was the first time the outgoing president had ever kissed the incoming president. We won't go on about it.
Have I got a treat for you?
Careful to scare her off.
But the other thing on a personal basis, a heartfelt thanks. About 20 years ago, imagine it's that long, our daughter had graduated from Tech, just starting a family, but really just couldn't quite figure out the future and what she wanted to do. And I mentioned to Mary Lou, both being Tech graduates, and Mary Lou agreed to sit down with Lisa and try to help her and in fact mentor her. And she did, and she did a fantastic job. Lisa went on to get her master's degree in structural engineering from ODU, at Mary Lou's recommendation. And then Mary Lou brought her on board as an employee. And for the last 20 years, in what must be the most flexible work schedule that anybody has ever had, our daughter has worked for Mary Lou. I mean, she can go off to Kenya somewhere, or here, there, and everywhere. But when she's in town, Mary Lou has worked for her, and it's been fabulous. So thank you so very much, Mary Lou.
Thank you. I've got a short slideshow. Make sure this is on. And then I've got a little video to show of our trip. But more or less, this is a bike trip from Pittsburgh to DC. This is a little about the trip. I can look here, that's right. So from Pittsburgh to Cumberland, Maryland, you're riding on the Great Allegheny Passage Trail. And it's 150 miles. And then from Cumberland, Maryland to DC, you ride on the C&O Canal, which is 184 miles. So it's a total of 334 miles, but it's all on trails. There is no road that you have to ride on unless you go into town. This is the elevation map right here. This high point is the Eastern Continental Divide. It looks steep, but really the maximum grade on the entire trail is only 2%. So it's really a ride that anybody can ride on, just no matter how much time you've got.
Were there other folks?
Yeah, so on our trip there were 4 of us, Wayne and May and one other couple.
Did you see other folks?
Oh, lots of people.
Wow.
Yeah. So a little bit about the Great Allegheny Passage. It's a rail trail. This actually started in 1986 with 9 miles at Ohio State Park. It's been growing and growing. It follows an old trail, a rail line. In 2013, it was actually finished. It went all the way downtown into Pittsburgh. So it gradually grew into what it is today. It's a fantastic trail. These are some of the highlights along the trail. It starts at Point State Park, which is where the Monongahela and the Allegheny meet to form the Ohio River. It's a beautiful area. If you haven't been to Pittsburgh, this is a place you have to go, but that's actually the start of the trail right there. Ohio State Park is in the Laurel Highlands. About 100 miles of the trail runs through the Laurel Highlands. It's a beautiful area. It's got lots of waterfalls. It's a big state park. It's a really big whitewater rafting area.
Youghiogheny River.
Youghiogheny River, yep. And then this is the Salisbury Viaduct. This is about 2,000 feet that rises across an entire valley. It's just a fantastic overview of the valley, but it's just a gorgeous ride. And a lot of the ride through the gap is up high because you're going through railroads, and then when you go to C&O Canal, you're down low by the water.
Keep your eye on the road. We're on that.
Yeah, but it was just gorgeous.
You don't want to crash.
And then, you know, after that, we have the C&O Canal, which was originally a towpath. I'm sure most of you are probably familiar with the C&O Canal. It was formed in 1831 and ran until 1924. It has 74 canal locks, 11 aqueducts, and 240 culverts. It was named a national monument in 1961 and became a national park in 1972. Some high points about this. This is the Paw Paw Tunnel. It's 3,118 feet long. It's one of the world's longest canal tunnels. Yeah. And then,
And there are no lights in the
Yeah.
tunnel.
so it was, when they built it, they thought it would take 2 years and cost them $33,000. It took them 15 years and cost $600,000, or 20 times their original budget to build this tunnel. So it was amazing, but once it was built, I mean, it had a lot of traffic until
Was it
obviously.
B&O goes through there? Or was it-
C&O.
C&O.
Mhm.
Mary Lou, that must have been a government estimate, by the way.
It must have been-
But what was the holdup? What was the difficulty with the
It was
tunnel?
just, I was 3,000 feet long. I don't think no one's ever built at that point a tunnel that long through granite.
They hadn't measured it before.
And
Granite.
and the other thing I did mention is that 5 years of those 15 years, there was no work because they ran out of money. So they had to get more fundraising to get this thing done. But there are no lights. You have to walk your bike through that little tow path on the left there. And you have to wear flashlights because it's very dark.
Nowhere earthquake springs.
Another highlight is the old lock houses. In 2011, they've renovated about 6 of these lock houses, and now they rent them out. We renovated into the current period, different periods of the original C&O Canal. They don't have heat, running water, or indoor bathrooms. Most of them don't have electricity. 2 of them do because of the age. So more like deluxe camping and a museum because they're really historic. Usually outside, there's a well pump that you can pump to get water. There's always a toilet facility outside.
Yeah, but there we had to get water from the Potomac River.
Yeah, in one location.
Wow.
That was brave.
Yeah.
Oh, we filtered it and boiled it. So, and then Great Falls, you go right through Great Falls. The Great Falls Tavern Visitor Center was actually built in the 1800s to support the C&O Canal, and now it houses all the history of the C&O Canal. So if you haven't been on that side, that's a great museum there. A little bit about the logistics of a trip like this. There's 3 ways you can do this. There's a fully supported, there's firms that will take you, drop you off, will carry all your gear to all the hotels, and then take you back. So that's fully supported, you don't have to carry any gear. We saw a few people on the trail that were actually doing that. Partially supported means that you might have someone you might rent a bike one way and they'll take the bike back, or they might move your gear place to place. There's different options for partially supported. And unsupported means you're just on your own. You bring all your own gear. You can camp, you can stay in hotels. There's enough places that if you wanted to, you could stay in hotels the whole time, or you could camp the whole time. How to get there? You can take a shuttle service. There's places that offer shuttle service. You can do a one-way car. One-way train. Amtrak just added a new train service where you can actually put your bike on and they have a rack for your bike.
How do you get
just
there?
pull it back up. Family, the last option, friends and family. And I'll go through that. So our ride was unsupported, so we carried all our own gear. Our family provided support. Most of you know I have family in Pittsburgh and family in Northern Virginia. We did this over Columbus Day weekend, so when we went up to Pittsburgh, my cousin and uncle took our car, went down to Ohio Pal to go camping for the weekend. And my sister in Northern Virginia came up, and they all went camping for the weekend so she could take my car back. And they met us the second day and fed us dinner, breakfast. It was wonderful. So we had 4 bikers. It was Wayne and I, myself, and also another architect, Patrick Masterson, and his wife Ann came with us.
How long did it take to Maryland?
And we took 9 days. First and last days were short.
Yeah,
And the
to
rest
let
were
you
long.
know, the gear, I think for each bike was between 30 and 40 pounds. Something like that.
Our maximum day was 66 miles, our minimum day was 15 miles. And this is just a list of some of the gear that we carried. We had nothing on our backs, so everything was carried by the bikes, which is a lot more pleasant than having to carry anything on yourself. This is, it's hard to see, but this is my spreadsheet. This is my planning document.
There's one engineer in every group.
You can't tell I'm an engineer. But more or less what we did was we made reservations at 2 of the lock houses, lock house 49 and 22, and we were meeting our family in Ohio Pal the second night. Other than that, we were free to do whatever we want. We could camp, we could stay in hotels. When we got to Cumberland, the next day, they were predicting it was a huge front moving in. It was going to rain all night, severe thunderstorms. So that morning, we decided it'd probably be best to get a hotel. It's the only hotel we stayed at. But the closest hotel was 60 miles away, which is why we had one day, it was 66 miles. We hadn't planned that, but it was worth it. So we did stay, we camped 3 nights. We stayed in 2 hostels. We stayed in 2 log houses, and we stayed in 1 hotel. In our trip, I've got a little video, and then after that, I can take questions. It's 9 days and less than 6 minutes.
On the road again, like a man forgetting.
Oh, that's it. You put that together very well.
Yes,
Thank
you
you.
did.
A lot of work.
Questions? Yes.
Did you do any whitewater rafting in the autumn?
No, I
I
didn't.
didn't have any time.
I had plans to do all these other activities while we're biking, but by the time we were done biking for the day, we were done.
Did you have special bikes for that? I mean,
Nope.
To carry that much weight?
We have hybrids, more.
Trek, there were Trek
Ours,
hybrids.
or like Trek Comfort bikes, they're just a little wider tires. Our
Yeah.
friends had just,
Yeah, but they
there's
had,
really almost any bike can take it. When you go on the C&O Canal, you don't want really narrow tires. Because like the under 1 3/8 would be difficult. But on the Gap Trail, you can ride on almost any bike.
So did Pat, was he the only one with flat tires?
No, that was his wife, was the second one, he was changing the tire, yeah. So the only problems we have were there's 2 flats, and then when I got to Ohio Powell, I had dropped my bike the day before, and the gears weren't working, and I stopped they have a little bike rental shop, and he took my bike, he took it out, he fixed all the gears, took about 15 minutes, worked on it, didn't charge me a cent. I asked to pay him, he said, no, have a great trip, so it was really nice.
Great. See a Rotarian? So was your 66-mile day on the downside of the Cumberland trip?
It was on the C&O, yeah, and that's
It was
all
downhill
flat,
mostly?
yeah.
yeah, that's a relative term.
Do you see many bikers on the trail? How many people do this?
Yes, well, there's a lot of people that do day trips along different parts of it. We actually, we kind of stayed with a few different groups that were doing it at the same time, so, you know, we would meet and talk. When we stayed at the hotel, we met another group that were doing it, and they were actually quitting because of the rain, but, you know.
Anybody ever go the other direction?
Yes,
before?
they
Did
go
you have to
up,
ride through rain?
yeah, the one day, but we made it a really short day because we
Okay.
went the extra miles the day before.
Mary Lou, a couple years ago, we had Bill Tennis, who's an author from Bristol, gave a program on blues of Virginia Beach, Cumberland Gap to Virginia Beach. He also did a book, a subsequent book on the railroad path in Western Virginia. Have you all looked into that? Or
The Greenbrier,
No, this was the railroad path right there with the railroads that were, he wrote a book about that.
oh, no, I haven't.
Yeah, did a wonderful program for us.
Yeah.
You do go the other direction though, then, full length.
Yeah, they do go the other direction. I would like to mention, in the other direction it's a little steeper between Cumberland and Frostburg, but there's a train. If you want to, a lot of people that'll come that way will hop on the train in Frostburg and just get back off. I mean,
How often?
hop on the train in Cumberland. Oh, they're every day.
Well,
Yeah, you can make a reservation. That's really,
Oh.
a lot of people on there are just bikers that don't want to climb that one hill. Yes.
Marilyn, like on the Appalachian Trail, are you concerned about your safety?
Not for 99% of the time. There was one area where we were going through South Pittsburgh, and there was a sign, and it said, there was an alternate trail, and they had like the description, it was called, you know what it's called?
Yeah.
But on this alternate trail, it said it was flatter, it had, you know, ice cream shops and restaurants. It was not nice. It went through projects, there were drug dealers going on, we just went as fast as we could out of that one area. So.
What was your speed on that day?
But it was, I mean, it was only a couple miles and we were out of there, so. But it wasn't part of the gap. If we'd stayed on the gap, we would have missed that.
Well, I saw your project schedule, and did you plan out how far you're gonna go every day, and did you have reservations at the campgrounds or
No,
the lock
no,
houses or the
no.
hotels?
We had reservations at the 2 lock houses and Ohio Powell State Park. Other than that, like the first campsite is Draver Cemetery Campsite. We were the only living residents. But it's free, it's just along the trail. Anyone can camp there, so you don't really need reservations. And so we kind of planned where we thought we would end up every day, but like I said, we were able to make changes along the way.
Wow.
You're training for something like this, to get ready.
Yeah, we did.
I know, what was that?
We just rode our bikes.
We did another trip too, the New River.
Yeah, we did the New River, which was like a 60-mile,
That's like
2-day.
50 or something.
Yeah,
Back to the tech.
Whitewater.
yeah, yeah.
Is this mostly rails to trails conversion?
Yes.
No,
Well,
no.
all of the GAP is rails to trails. The C&O is obviously a canal
Yeah.
to trails.
Yeah, it's the mule path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all trails.
You didn't have to pay anything for the trip, I mean.
Nope.
Yeah. Well, the C&O is a national, it's a park.
Yeah, but the
So-
GAP,
so-
GAP
okay.
has a whole organization that
Wow,
supports
that's
it.
great.
Real
It's
Trails
real.
is like a public charity.
Yeah, it's a public charity, and it's really made a difference, especially in Pennsylvania and some of the old rail
No trash,
towns.
no trash.
No,
Wow.
very, very clean, very beautiful.
Wow.
Bob?
Yeah, you had mentioned the scary part in Pittsburgh, I understand that, but when you came into Washington DC, didn't you have trepidation from doing that?
No, we went right into Georgia. That's a different kind of scary there.
Caution politicians.
It was actually hard to find mile zero.
Yeah. Yeah.
When did you go and how cold did it get at night?
We went last fall, in October. Coldness, I would say maybe
In
the
the 40s.
50s or 40s. It wasn't that cold for camping. So.
Any significant disagreements among the four cyclists?
No, we kind of had, so more or less Wayne and I kind of stuck together, and Ann and Patrick kind of stuck together. We knew that like every so often we would stop, so if we weren't together, they would stop and we would meet up with them. So we kind of worked out ahead of time in case, so we didn't have to stay in sight of everyone the whole trip, which would be kind of a pain.
Great.
Thank you.
Please accept another of our cups. Well said. Thank you so very much. And I found this.
I don't want it.
Yeah, do that.
Last three then.
I second that.
And if you would, pick my number.
Last three numbers are 670.
Didn't work.
Hey, Paul?
6, 7.
I got it.
Yay!
All right.
0.
Past District Governor Joe.
I just want to add to Chester's educator moment. He mentioned the conference that I was involved with back in the year 2000. And Dick was as he stated, was the chairperson. He made only one mistake. And the mistake was he didn't kick me hard enough to do away with an idea that I had, and that was to have a blood drive during the district conference, which we did. We didn't get many people. The real reason I mention that is the blood mobile was the result of oh God, what's your name again? Bob Hurd, and somebody else took the lead and organized the district to fund
Chester.
a blood mobile for the district. Who was the other person? Was there another person?
Chester.
Oh, it was Chester too. Okay, so the important thing for the new members is this club not only ran a drive to purchase one, I think we ultimately purchased two, right? Just one? Okay. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a few minutes before the 8:30 mark. Are there comments you would like to make regarding the schedule we are trying out? The gong at the bell at 40 and go from there.
It worked out well.